You know the jackpot sound, right? Like everybody knows that. Yeah, that's the one. And that is what Nintendo is hearing in their heads all day long because they just did something crazy. Nobody can touch them when it comes to doing things like this, and their absolute mastery is wonderful for us. Nintendo just set the world on fire with Waggle. What the heck does that mean for the future? I'm pretty excited. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hit that like button if you enjoy these videos and let me know your take in the comments down below because it's really remarkable. We have breaking news out of Europe that Nintendo Switch Sports is just trashing, crashing, and absolutely smashing records. Okay, Nintendo Switch Sports, a game that's a sequel to Wii Sports from 16 years ago. A game that brings back motion controls that we thought were long behind us. A game that takes simplistic sports and puts them online is selling like crazy. Nintendo Switch Sports opening week is almost 8 times bigger than Just Dance 2022, it's 6 times bigger than Ring Fit Adventure, and over twice as big as Mario Party Superstars. Now to put this in perspective, Ring Fit Adventure has sold well over 10 million copies lifetime, and Mario Party Superstars is right on its way. Those are 2 huge games, and Just Dance is no yearly slouch for Ubisoft either. And yet Nintendo Switch Sports has blown them all out of the water. Now this information comes from Christopher Dring over at GameIndustry.biz, and he notes that all 3 of those other games had soft openings and then went on to sell more and more as evergreen titles. If Nintendo Switch Sports has a soft opening, holy freaking crap. If 8 times bigger is its soft opening, this is going to climb the charts much faster than any of us expected. And I will point out that that's only taking into account physical copies. Okay, digital sales, Nintendo doesn't reveal, but that means Switch Sports has sold even more because digitally, that game is only $39.99. Now, how did this happen? Waggle has won because Nintendo tried Waggle at the very beginning of the Switch. Do you remember? They really went for it. 1-2 Switch was all about Waggle. Ice cubes in the Joy-Con, squeeze the mutters, and then ARMS was boxing, one of the most popular sports from the Wii Sports era, brought back but fleshed out with unique Nintendo characters and much better, more in-depth mechanics, also Twintel, Dat Booty. But both of those games were not received all that well. People think 1-2 Switch is a joke, and nobody's excited by the prospects of a sequel to that game coming out later this year. I contend that ARMS is a good time, but with a devout audience that quickly made the online insurmountable for new players. Their character design was on point with Kid Cobra and Ribbon Girl and the rest of the clan, and they did support the game for a while with DLC. The boxing, super fun motion based, but it didn't really catch fire. And yet Nintendo did not push that envelope. They said, okay, we'll mail it a later day. And they were so smart to wait, because by waiting, they let the momentum and the anticipation and actually the want build back up. There's a want for Waggle, something I didn't think I'd be saying in 2022, but after playing for hours, I can tell you, I wanted the Waggle too. Nintendo was so smart to withhold motion for a very long time. Yes, they put it in drips and drops here and there, but they never went full bore until now. And now the launch is 8 times bigger than Just Dance, 6 times that of Ring Fit, and double Mario Party Superstars. Something I'm wondering right away is, will Nintendo keep on waggling? Will they incorporate more motion or games of this ilk to try and support this newfound wave? It's like the Wii is relevant again in 2022. I don't think that they will go crazy. I don't think you have to worry about the next Mario getting Waggle or have to worry that Breath of the Wild 2 was delayed because they wanted to incorporate some crazy sword-based motion control action. Even in Zelda's Skyward Sword Adventure, they opted to allow you to go controller-based if that's what you wanted to do. No, I think Nintendo will instead continue their smart strategy, where they utilize their gimmicks like wild cards, like aces in the hole. They throw open their sleeves and say, have a Switch Sports. And this should make you feel a bit better about Nintendo wanting to bring back 1-2 Switch. I know everybody is down on that, but look, they did pretty darn good here. They could do darn good there as well. Unlikely, but it's possible. And I think Nintendo can continue to be the bearers of the motion control caravan. They can be the ones that usher it towards its inevitable, I don't know, future of continuing. We've had VR, and that was up and We've had 3D, and that was up and Nintendo's motion-based gaming is the one that still sells like hotcakes to this day. And I think it's because they crafted something that is just fun. At the end of the day, Nintendo, they're the king of fun, and I can't lie, SwitchForce is fun. Simplistic, yes. Missing some things, yes, but it's fun, and this bodes so well for the future. Because I think the best place and the biggest place you'll see motion continue from Nintendo is in this very game. This package is perfect and ripe for downloadable content, and we already know that a free update of Golf is coming in the fall. Probably should have been included at launch, definitely feels a little light in terms of content, but it'll be great to get another Waggle-based entry in this game sometime later in 2022. And if you believe data mines, which I sure do, we've seen evidence of dodgeball and basketball, which could be incorporated and added to make Spoko Square the hub and home for motion gaming in the modern era. Nintendo could opt to charge for those individually, they could include them as part of the expansion pack DLC free, or they could continue to provide free updates and keep this game evergreen. If Nintendo is good at anything, they are good at keeping games so green, because a green game brings green to Nintendo, and Wii Sports did that wonderfully. It was a constant churn of dollars because it sold the whole system. Now, SwitchForce doesn't sell the Switch, and it doesn't have to sell the Switch because the Switch is fantastic on its own. It doesn't need a pack-in to hoist it up and say, look, justify this thing. The thing is already great, but now it has a new aspect. It has something that it can rely on as sort of a fun aside if used sparingly. And the greatest thing Nintendo ever did for Waggle was go away from Waggle. That allows them to come back to Waggle and blow people away and say, remember, this was fun? Every game doesn't need to be Waggle, and boy oh boy, every game shouldn't be Waggle, but once in a while, every blue moon or two, bring us a game of this sort and watch those sales soar. It's also surprising and exciting to see that Nintendo just does it better than anybody else. There have been so many imitators between 2006 and 2022 trying to attempt to do the same thing Wii Sports did. And it took until SwitchForce to find that charm once again, to find form once again, and of course, it was made by the same creators that birthed the original way back when. And I just want you to keep in mind the hot streak that Nintendo has going here. It is insane and unprecedented and remarkable. Every franchise that hits Switch finds a new success, best success, and absolutely incredible evolution for its fan base and often its mechanics too. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, taking that franchise to bold new heights. Metroid Dread, moving 2D Metroid to a higher point than it's ever been. Mario, Zelda, we see it time and time again. The Switch is coated in golden dust, and every cartridge that slides into that lovely system reaps the rewards. SwitchForce will probably go on to sell 10 or 20 million copies, maybe even more. This could join Mario Kart and Animal Crossing as one of the golden three. I didn't think that before launch, but now these early sales figures show this game has momentum, this game has power, and I think the reception will buoy it further and further. Let's also not forget that Nintendo was super smart to realize what they had and not try and charge $60. In an era where everyone wants to get 70, Nintendo gave you a game for 40. I think that is accurate, I think that is responsible, and I think it will help drive the sales of this game further and further and further. So hats off to the Big N, they do the remarkable. Again and again, it's just wonderful to be a fan of a company that hits homers, and we're living in the best era of Nintendo, and I'm so grateful to share it with you. Let me know if you're impressed by SwitchForce, or does any part of you regret this? Do you wish that Nintendo would not do Waggle? Do you fear that they're gonna go Waggle-rific from here on out? Are they learning the wrong lesson from this? I don't think they will, but never say never. They do make strange decisions from time to time, but I hope you'll decide to come back for the next video. In the meantime, everyone, thanks so much for watching. Hope you're staying safe, staying healthy, staying happy, staying positive, staying waggling out there. And until next time, thanks again. SwitchForce, out.